Hi guys, it's Alan. All right, live, and I'm Alan Brewer Nielsen, or whatever you like to call it, targeted individual, and again going on about 4 years now, and about going on this targeted individual program, which is in my case dealing with voice to skull synthetic telepathy for people who don't. If you look it up, it sounds as weird, but it really is that weird as sounds. And you just don't think that your government would do this kind of stuff to you. You're thinking, I haven't done anything wrong. I haven't hurt anybody. I mean, in my case, literally, um, just never anybody. And yet, for whatever reason, my small town of Dallas, near Salem, Oregon, decided to go ahead and do this to me. The only thing I know is that for 30 years, I had this constant side pain right up here, chronic side pain. And my doctors couldn't tell me what it was. It was just constant. Went to specialists. They finally just said Oxycontin. And my doctor was like, well, that's a heavy amount, but they're the experts, the specialists, so okay, I'll give it to you. They're pushing, they even told me they're pushing this on doctors to try to, but, they're just really trying to get doctors and pushing this on doctors to prescribe it. So my doctors even warned me. But I didn't know why. Nobody told me why I was having side pain. It wasn't until 4 years ago when I started getting V2K and hearing about targeted individuals that I heard about this voice to skull and directed energy weapons. And that's when I started hearing these weird voices, and then did some research, and I knew somebody was fucking with me. I knew it wasn't anything psychological or crazy or psychotic. For a long time, just somebody's playing a weird game with me. I hadn't hurt anybody. And but I just knew for 30 years, since before college and high school, I was getting these sharp, what you imagine a heart attack would feel like when you're a teenager. Just intense pain, and you double over, just like a sharp pain around your heart area where you think your heart is, and then you just double over, and it just hurts, and you double over, and you don't know why. Nothing's causing it. You're not doing anything. You're not working out. But it happens, and you don't know why. You just want it to stop. So you go to your doctor. And my first doctor in North Dakota just asked me, do you have bowel movements? Are you okay with your bowel movements? And I didn't know what a bowel movement was, which is funny because after that I became a CNA. But be a bowel movement, do you shit? It's like, yeah, that's fine. So thought it was gas or something. But that was in North Dakota, and it's been since high school and Bible college, just getting progressively worse. They finally gave me medication, pain meds for it, Oxycontin, but nobody told me what it was for or what caused it. It wasn't until 2016 when I started getting V2K, the voice to skull, that and all the weird behaviors, the street theater, the weird voices through underground, like people are trying to get me to go under in the garage below, which didn't belong to me, belonged to my neighbors. And I knew that if I went down there to check out the sounds, it'd be breaking and entering. The garage didn't belong to me. And so it's like, I just didn't do it. I didn't take the bait. And they would be like saying, why doesn't he come down here? He knows what we're talking about him. And in this entire time, I didn't have ever, growing up in Dallas, I didn't know any police. no police person has ever talked to me about anything. There was one time when somebody asked about police, and I said, well, if they have any question, they can talk to me about whatever. And I didn't even know what it was for. My landlord knew I took medication, but I said, no, if something about that, and just have them come over. And they never did. So, but then but nobody showed up, and I figured everything's fine. But I never went in for anything, and nobody talked to me about it. So nobody was even mad at me for anything. But I knew for 30 years, or 25 years at that time, around 2016, that I was just constantly in pain. At least I had medication to help some of it. But the thing is, with that side pain, that's your heart around this area, it does a lot with your emotions. Because like when people say they're in love or something, they don't talk about their brain, the synapses of your brain, or dopamine or serotonin. They're talking about your heart. I mean, you need your brain. The brain's not a vestigial organ that doesn't work. Your brain works. Have thoughts and feelings, but some of those feelings are heart related. And when they zap with wireless technology or microwave radiation, they zap your heart. It does something to your feelings that you would have, your emotions. It's not titled entirely up like here in your brain. It works also with that's why when people are in love, they get excitement here. They don't get excitement here or in your stomach. They get it right here. And so they are purposely trying to zap, so to speak, the very area that is integral to your emotional identity. The ups and downs, the strength of your emotions. They're zapping the very place. And if they keep doing it over a prolonged period, it becomes almost deadened, necrotic tissue. And they're hitting that very area where a part of your personality, your emotional self, becomes deadened. And that's what they're purposely trying to do. They're trying to see how much torture and punishment you can take, because it's done to see, number one, how much torture you can take, or a human being can take, and what's the causative factors of that torture. It makes you finally kill yourself or whatever, and then they can, if it's insurance, if it is, then they can cash in on that insurance and then scientifically instantly go to that level for the next person. So there's scientific research involved, but there's also just a financial bonus that they can do, probably just tons of offline or online insurance where city hall people and doctors and whoever can pretend to know you, get a bunch of paperwork on you, interview your family, your friends, and get them in on it. And then once you do kick the bucket, then they can go in and cash in these foreign insurance on, Stoli insurance, stranger-owned life insurance. It's like what Walmart used to do, or maybe still does. 38,000 people or 32,000 people at Walmart. It used to be the CEOs would get life insurance on them, so that if they died, then it might take them time to find another qualified person. So they need money to invest to find the right person to take over that job. But stranger owned means they just give it to everybody. Somebody who's been there 10 years, 15, 20 years, who has worked their heart out for this company like Walmart. And then that company takes out the stranger owned life insurance. And then that person who has worked there for 10, 15, 20 years, 30 years, been a faithful employee, suddenly gets cancer, suddenly gets a sickness. And then you can fire them. You can get rid of them. And then take away their insurance. Find reasons to find out what they're on, find out what medication they're taking, take away their medication, and then get insurance on them. And what happened is that somebody, one of the insurance companies actually mailed it to the widow a lady of a guy that she was married to that had died. And instead of mailing it to the company, they mailed it to her. And that's how she found out about it. It was her company, the company of her husband, that took it out on her husband, didn't tell him about it. And instead of, oh, well, she knows about it, let's just give her the money and quiet it down, they got selfish again. Well, what's new? And oops, that's our money. We took insurance out on your husband. And then they did some digging and found out they did it to 30 some odd thousand of their employees that had been there for 20, 30 years. And if some of them died, oh, well, tough shit for that person. And that's why, and when I was a kid, there were millionaires. Millionaires was what you're reaching for. There really wasn't these things called, I mean, there may be rare, but billionaires was just like, but now in different parts of the world, there's a lot of billionaires. It's not uncommon. And it's just like, how are these people? Business is business. There's inflation. There's all this stuff. But how do they get so rich so quick? You got Bezos. You got Apple, Steve Jobs. You have Bill Gates. But how do people go from millions to billions? And it's just they find a new way. There are honest people, and but also there's just ways that they know how to cheat the system. And learning to cheat the insurance industry by taking it out on innocent people is just a new way. And if you're from even the people that you think that are nice, religious, if you're religious towns, conservative religious like Dallas, they would not partake of something. They're religious, conservative, they're chanting, drain the swamp, drain the swamp. And while they're chanting, drain the swamp, they are taking the very swamp money that they claim to hate, federal money, for one of the most corrupt purposes possible, known to man, to torture someone to the point where they commit suicide, to where either the torture itself through the radiation of the microwave pulses will kill them and they get their insurance, or they end up torturing them to where the poor person ends up killing themselves. And then they don't tell what, they just die and they can still collect it because they also get the research money that the federal program is promising them, but they have to keep quiet about it. You wonder for years, how do these cover-ups happen? Because for years it was like the mafia, cover-ups, people don't talk. What's that phrase? Snitches get stitches and ditches and blah, blah, blah. But, snitches get stitches. But the thing is, there's so many people writing tell-all books, even mafia people are writing tell-all books, that you would think that, well, people can't keep their mouths shut. Would they really have one? The thing is, there are good people now that are finally opening their mouth on this. And it's pretty bad when it's the people in your own hometown. It's the city hall. It's your own doctors that you've had since you were a kid. And it's just like, since when does this happen? It's your own doctor since you were a kid, and they're partaking of this. And while you're complaining at the age of 14 or 15 that you're in pain, constant pain, and they don't do anything until 5 years later when you're still complaining of the pain, then they send you to a pain specialist. And this is my case. And then finally, nobody tells you anything. At least they give you pain meds for it. I mean, they get paid for it, but at least they do that. But then you get V2K. And still, in the town of this religiously conservative town, nobody tells you anything. It's all left for you to figure out. You get this weird voices, and it's not inside. It's just from next door or underneath the garage. And it's like, why are they doing this? Somebody's fucking with you and doing the phone thing and holding up your camera, hoping you react. And something weird's going on, but nobody's explaining it to you. And then finally you go online and you put in the right keyword, whether it's stalking or voices or something. And then you realize, oh shit, this is not just somebody playing a joke. This is something that they are purposely, if you do end up trying to hurt yourself, then you think, well, maybe I misunderstood. Maybe I misunderstood what they did. They're religious. They're good-natured. They're nice people. Then you realize, you come to the target individual. No, they really are trying to kill you. These aren't nice people. They really are trying to torture you and trying for you to end up in a cemetery. and trying to make your mom and your dad, if they're still alive, end up bankrupt because they now have to pay for your funeral. They want you out, even if you did nothing to them. Even if the place you worked for a place for 10 years, 20, 30 years, you never hurt anybody. These religious conservative people, and not one of them says anything to you about what's going on. And the police, can't forget that. The people who are trying to protect and serve, and they're doing this before, during, and after George Floyd. They're trying to keep up their reputation. They're good people. And they're still trying to cover this up. They're not putting their knee on your neck for nine minutes. They are trying to shock you into a heart attack and torture you, sometimes in 10, 20, 30 years, and are trying to get you to kill yourself. This is worse. I mean, what George Floyd went through is horrible, but it's on tape. And what we go through, we can only express it, but it's like you can't tell. They won't believe you because they'll say it's psychosomatic or something like that. I'm sorry, TL. I didn't even see you were there. The stalkers are all cheaters too. They need to siphon some money from our government and exploit us that's true. Like elites. The reason is to test bioeffects and predict health degradation, map the behavioral reaction to the physiological attacks, and map the negative reaction. CBAA space 05-05-HE. So rewind that if you want that to BAA 05-05-HE. So that's maybe helpful. The V2K is to map your brain. And that makes to see what happens in your brain, to see what parts of it. They do this when you respond and are able to control it. It is usually DARPA. And they are working on an N3 subnets, TNT, RAN, RTML, Keystone, and others. And those things, to me, Greek. But he sounds like he knows what he's talking about. That's an Air Force Research Laboratory document. It's all available on sam.gov. sam.gov. Sam, that's something mental. Something about mental health or not. I don't know if that's what it is. But anyway, the funny thing is my my uncle, that I'm named after, Alan, he worked for the Air Force, and he helped set up this microwave technology in Europe, setting up the satellites. He went from years of working in the Air Force, setting up these microwaves in different parts of Europe, and then went from there to work for Harris Corporation, which is a defense contractor. So he went from working 10, 20, I don't know how many years in the Air Force, but then he went from that to working in, Harris Corporation. And I think his son ended up a submarine contractor, working in the submarine like that. But I won't go into, I respect privacies and all that stuff. But that's all I'll go into. But that is what they went into. I had an aunt that was married to one of Nixon's Secret Service people. My biological dad was for Vietnam, was a sniper instructor, rifles. I should say sniper. That's how he says it. But my own family, me, my brother, sister, never was in the military or nothing like that. But my dad and my mom's family, entire family, was all in the military. But anyway. But yeah, they'll go after anybody, and they'll just use anybody. I was born in Oceanside near Camp Pendleton, so that could have been when I was born. We just don't know. I don't know if it's one of those things they do when a person's a baby. Cheryl Atkinson has a TV show. She's an investigative journalist. She has a great show about technology that is without her consent. We're used as guinea pigs. And if you just write in Cheryl Atkinson, I forgot the name of her program, but she has a show, Full Measure, I think, Cheryl Atkinson. And if you look up implants, then she has a half-hour special on how they even do it to babies without telling the parents of these babies that they're using them as implants, as guinea pigs. And if the baby dies, well, sorry, if they even tell the babies. So it's just, anyway, look that up. There is no federal law. The person that was put in charge of looking into whether people are tortured um, is actually Dr. Christine Grady. And she was in charge of President Obama's bioethics. And she happens to be Dr. Anthony Fauci's wife of the last 30 some odd years. So she doesn't go by Fauci. She goes by Dr. Christine Grady. If you type her name in and look up Obama's bioethics or whatever, you'll see her. And she's the one that in the 2011 and 2012 bioethics, which is bioethics, really parentheses, target individual program. She was the one put in charge of it along with Amy Goodman, the president of the University of Pennsylvania, and about 10 other people. You can see it on James Lyco's YouTube or 2012 Targeted Individual Evidence. So it's where they, so maybe look up the sam.gov is where they post their contracts. And I got targeted in San Diego too. Started out with the Marine Corps, reading my thoughts right in front of me. Oh shit, that would bug the hell out of me. Yeah, my dad, Gus, was just Vietnam, and I don't know how many tours, about 3. But it was just, a rifle instructor. And but I didn't really get to meet him till later. So people kind of come back after those war situations needing some time, and that's understandable. So, but anyway, I'm talking about it then because I just watched CNN and they're talking about, I think Kyle Vulcan Wolverine, who's my favorite TI on that does it, was talking about Havana syndrome, where all these diplomats and FBI and CIA going to different countries, and they're being bombarded with the same type of technology, microwave weapons, directed energy weapons, headaches, vertigo, the high-pitched sound. But they're not complaining of V2K, or at least that's not put out there for us to hear about. So whenever we talk about the stuff that we're going through, I think Vulcan was talking to Dr. Hoffer in Florida, and when they go out, when they talk about it, they don't talk about voice to skull. They talk about the directed energy weapons, the pains, the nausea, all that kind of stuff. But they're leaving the V2K for us so that we can look crazy, hearing voices. And of course, in the last few years, the thing that's been hitting the news on Fox News and CNN is for these jolts, dyskinesia, targeted dyskinesia, which is these jolts, these muscle spasms that secretly could very well be our directed energy and muscle spasms that they give us. And along with medicine for schizophrenia, hearing voices, which coincides and mimics target individual symptoms. So they make this technology to give us torture that mimics mental illness. And the truth is, it's like they say, a lot of the people will say, well, it could be. Well, we can even show them the patents to show that, the technology, they're making it. We can show them on Wired, the magazine, how the Army pulled V2K. If you look it up, Wired, Army pulls V2K from pages. So it shows the Army actually had it and they pulled it. And it's like, I think Richie from Boston talks about it too. So look that up. And it's out there. They know it's out there, but until they actually hear it and experience themselves, then that's when the click goes, oh, this shit is real. I mean, we knew it could be real, like it's a hypothetical. But when you go through it daily, and I don't mean like once, weeks ago, or a couple times months ago, I mean every day you hear them. I mean, it's as plain to you as, the cat you're petting or whatever it is. You just know it's there. It's every day. And I think they're getting tired of it too. But they get paid for it. I'm not as fun as somebody actually slicing their wrist, or, I'm just wake up every day when I do and wake up and they aren't doing their things. But when they do, it's just, but constantly hearing them chat. and then those little shots like this, and then 30 years of this, of direct energy and having to take medicine for it. So, um, but it's just bizarre. So, anyway, it's been a while. I want to keep doing some more of these things. So, um, just hearing them talk about it on CNN and well, Fox News, CNN, and just hopefully that people will realize. And I'm not sure what to say about because, like vaccine, no vaccine, this and that. All I know, what I do know, is that it's the same family. It's not the same. It's not just somebody in the Air Force. It's not somebody in the Marines. It's not somebody in government. It's Fauci with his vaccines and this illness, with this, and his own wife, the lady he sits across at the dinner table, is in charge of the targeted individual program. Went from 2009 to 2017 when Obama put her in charge of it. So it's just two people in one family. He's in charge of vaccines, Moderna, whatever it is. And she was put in charge by President Obama to look into bioethics and torture or targeting or medical abuses by using people as guinea pigs. So it's only two people in one family. And so they know how to keep their shit tight. If they get stressed, they can go to their husband, or the husband can go to the wife, and oh, it's hard to keep it close. And then you can keep quiet, just keep quiet. We'll get all this money, or who knows what it is. But they're the ones that know about this. And knowing that I can, whatever they put in me, whatever they did to where I get these things, and this V2K, along with other people and their doctors were part of, and now the same family now wants everybody to get these. I don't want to sound like some conspiracy person. I don't like it. I just know, I'm not even saying it because I don't want people to not get a vaccine if it saves their life. But we don't know what will happen in 5 years because of these vaccines. We don't. It used to be kids don't have to get vaccines. 10 and 12-year-olds and 20-year-olds don't have to because their body is immune to it. Now, suddenly overnight, the kids have to because all the hospitals are overflowed with children. So again, they're lying, just like the masks. Oh, masks are needed. They're not needed. They're not needed. They are needed. Kids are safe. You don't have to worry about kids. Now, suddenly, within the last month, all the kids, if they're going to school, open the schools up. Oh, the kids, the hospitals are overrun with kids. Age especially, the ones that are supposed to be protected from their immune system, now it's overrun by the very thing they promised. They're the safest. We don't have to worry about them. Now it's the kids. So we are getting lied to from every angle. They're just going to say, well, it's not we're lying. We just didn't know what this sickness was going to do. Well, they're lying. They're covering up. And I would love to have Miss Fauci, Dr. Christine Grady, to go in front of a camera and try to just tie these things, answer the targeted individuals, just put the camera on her and let it answer. Ask her these questions and let a bunch of targeted individuals in the room and let her answer this clearly and put it on TV. Let them face the music and let the government feel the pressure because it's coming out. It's not slowly dripping. I mean, the faucet is turning and it's coming out. The horse has left the barn and nobody's going to catch it. It's out. The news is out. People know about it, and it's already going to be embarrassing. But it's like Bill Clinton. He said before, in '95, when he admitted that the government tortured its own citizens by using radiation. He admitted it, and he said the only reason why the government wouldn't come clean is because, number one, and this is Bill Clinton saying it, the government didn't want to be embarrassed. They didn't want to be embarrassed, and probably some money things they didn't worry, but chiefly they didn't want to be embarrassed or look bad. Now, we all know what happened to Bill Clinton, but they're doing it again. We already know you're doing it, government, not just the federal government in Washington. It's in our little towns. We already know it. You are going to be embarrassed, but it's going to be how many people have you caused to commit suicide? How many people have you tortured? And this whole idea of conservative or liberal Christian, it doesn't matter. As a human being, it's going to come out. This news is coming out already. And you need to realize it. And you can try to put a smiley face on it like you didn't know. But all these people who kept quiet, these people in City Hall, this law enforcement who kept quiet, knowing this could happen to your grandma, your dad, your kids, or their kids in the future. But at least you got paid. And the next day you're chanting, drain the swamp. Drain the swamp while you're taking federal money, trying to get people to be tortured and commit suicide. It's disgusting. Every TI out there knows it. It's disgusting. But at least our eyes are opened. And I'm thankful to the good people like Dr. Matt Ella Free, the ones who are actually spreading the word. Kyle, Next, just haven't seen him in a while, but Next, Frank Allen, Targeted Justice, Dr. Horton. It's just, there's a bunch of them. So anyway, I'm going to go, and I hope you guys are maintaining strong. That University of Penn lady had the most condescending and guilty look throughout the whole damn bioethics thing. That's what I thought too. Yes. Oh shit, what's her name? Yeah, I know. I know what you mean. I just mentioned her name too. But yeah, she did. And Unstoppable Chief Handler, what is the weapons contract? Oh, hey, Chief Handler's on. Hey, how you doing? Yeah, I can hear you. I can read you now too. You're V2K. Okay. Did I tell you I have? Okay. Okay, never mind. Anyway, Chief Handler's on. We all know who that is. So, well, we don't know who it is, but he just, or she, shows up on our thing. So, anyway, he or she isn't doing their job because they're making the town of Dallas and Salem lose all their credibility. Being a drain the swamp, conservative Christian, drain that swamp. I mean, the whole town of Dallas, their law enforcement, their city hall, along with Salem. I mean, they're looking back and saying, why did we get involved in this? This is not a good thing. This is going to harm our legacy. And they know it. So anyway, TI, stay strong, and we'll talk. Well, I hope you guys are doing good. We'll talk later. Okay? Bye. Yeah. That's it right there.